Good afternoon to everybody. I welcome you all again to this webinar series which we are organizing as a part of the Azadi Mahotsav. This is celebrating 75 years of India's independence, and there's a series of webinars which Skill Council is hosting for in various sectors in which we are working. Recently, we have also introduced, in addition to wastewater, in addition to waste, renewable energy, sustainability, we are focusing on hydrogen, pollution control, and you will hear many lectures on those areas also. So today we have a very interesting and a very motivating topic on which we are going to talk, that is the biomass. You have been hearing it's an excellent source for renewable energy source, and it can address all the climate change issues because it is already almost nearly carbon neutral. So this is projected as this is a primary renewable energy resource, and it can meet our needs for a sustainable future, a renewable energy future. But then using biomass is not easy. We have a host of challenges. We have a host of problems. In fact, I can share with you that right from the day I was in the ministry, we have been trying to do so many projects on biomass, using biomass as a renewable energy source. In fact, we did some pilots where we did the entire village should be energized through biomass. But then there were issues, and I think those issues have improved. The problems or they have been reduced. But some of them still say we have still problems of storage. We have still problems of availability. There is the regional and seasonal availability. There is a problem of transportation. Then technological issues are, whereas as we proceed forward with making better and better use of biomass, through lignocellulosic routes, like it's said that, in fact, there's a US report that lignocellulosic material, biomass, can produce liquid fuels, which can address all the problems which we are facing. But then there are challenges, and these challenges they need to be, they need to be addressed. They need to be taken up, and some sort of regulation, some sort of policy initiatives are also required. We cannot say that there has been no work or there have been no initiatives. Government of India has been very proactive. In fact, you will share with me, or you will join me in saying that the programs, the Satat program, the Govardhan program, then we have the waste to energy program, and of course the biofuel policy. And we are projecting towards E20, the 20% of ethanol blending with petrol. So that is what is the target. I am coming across such large infrastructure projects all over the country for managing our waste. So I feel that we are going ahead, but then we should know more, and we should also improve more. The technological innovations should come, and we should see that how we can address all these issues, and then we can make this more sustainable and more usable. In Skill Council also, we have done a lot of work. This has been a priority sector, managing the biomass in terms of rural waste, in terms of urban waste, and then we have done skill gap studies, identified job roles. The biomass supply chain has been one vulnerable area where we thought we should address the problems, and we came up with job roles which have really, we have taken up these job roles. We have prepared training modules, but I'm sorry to share that we could not do so many trainings as we could do, because mainly the pandemic is also there, and we want to connect with the ground workers. But then we have not been able to do much for the aggregators in the animal residue, in the agro residue. We would like to do more. Then, of course, urban waste has been something which has been a challenge, and there we have done a lot of trainings. So this is a priority area, and there we are focusing. And today I'm very happy to share that we have a very learned and a very experienced speaker who is going to tell us how his organization has established themselves in this area, what are the challenges they have faced, and how they are expanding. In fact, a few months back, I had a talk with Colonel Rohit, and he was saying that we expect to extend it to the south also, because there also biomass availability, biomass utilization is the problem, and it needs to be addressed. So with this, I would like to welcome Colonel Rohit Dev, and he's the Chief Operating Officer of Punjab Renewable Energy Systems, an organization which is now going and growing by leaps and bounds. Every day I hear there's an MOU signed with some state governments, with some organizations, and I feel that this is one organization which is really pushing things forward in a very fast and an aggressive way. About Colonel Saab, he's from the army, has an experience of more than 24 years from the army, where he has been for strategic and operations. Of course, army has got its own way of functioning. I also know, being a service officer's wife, and I feel that the learning and the experience and the discipline which a person learns in the army, he has carried it forward to this organization. He has done his master's in operational art and strategy thinking. He is a product of NDA, and of course, his certification in so many sectors needs to be, in so many sectors, in terms of audit, in terms of environment, health, and safety, statutory compliances. They really must be the drivers which have been pushing him forward to take this activity forward. I would also like to share that he was awarded the National Wide Award for Under 50 Business and Corporate Leader 2021. He has also been awarded the Indian Achievers Award 2021 for business leadership in recognition of his outstanding professional achievement and contribution in nation building. He's a speaker with many panels. He's an author. He's a narrator. And I think I will be exhausted, but there will be more and more which I can tell about Colonel Raghunathan. So today, sir, we're going to hear you. We want to hear your experiences, and we want to know, and we request you to share with us what are the challenges, how we can take the sector forward, and also how the Skill Council can, really move forward with you for the creating some jobs, creating employment, and of course creating, some revolution in the skill. Thank you very much, and once again I invite you for this to take the screen and please enlighten us with your talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jayant, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Praveen Saxena. I will just request to share my screen.
You can go ahead and share your screen.
Please let me know when you see the screen.
Sure, sir. It's still loading.
From my side, it is loaded.
You're good to go, sir.
Right. Thank you so much. So at the outset, let me thank Dr. Praveen Saxena to be, able to curate this 75 years of Amrit Mahotsav and have 75 such themes going through. And I'm quite sure most of these themes will also revolve around the Skill India mandate of our country, enable to energize our youth and entrepreneurs to come ahead and take up new ventures and have more skill development and take India ahead. With that as a backdrop, my courtesies to everybody who's today attending this particular session. And I will try and keep it as brief as possible, and there's ample time. And I would also like to have a lot of Q&A from the audience to be able to better, enunciate what we need to do ahead. So the topic for my today's, session is challenges in the bioenergy sector in India and way ahead. Before I typically go to that particular theme, I would be faltering if I don't give you the landscape, how the global sector is emerging and how the Indian sector is looking, and where we need to go and how we need to go. In between all this, I will give you a snapshot in a very fast track mode of what Prespel does, so that you understand how a journey of a bioenergy company in the biomass space has taken place over the last 1 decade. Without much ado, so let me go through the global scan. If you see this particular slide, from whenever it was curated in 2018 to a projections till 2050, there is a vast and quantum increase. If you see the left side of the renewables, and all kinds of renewables, whether it's offshore wind, it is wind, tidal, small hydro, it is to do with solar or biomass space. So all of them as a package are going to lead the transition, if I may say, in the world in terms of energy. And similarly, if you see on the right side of the scale, the quantum of growth of the renewables is much more. And I will take down a few numbers here. 4 to 5% times of growth, 4x or 5x is the growth, which you are seeing in sectors of renewables other than biomass today. Because if we don't have that path and the narrative, we will be faltering and falling short of our net zero commitment of 2070. I'll come to that a little later. Going ahead, if I just bracket it in terms of the other renewables and bioenergy, again, you will witness and see the projections are there. But in specifically the bioenergy sector, you find that the growth is not as per the escalation you would like to achieve. Let me bring 2 points here. First is about coal. Coal, if you ask me, besides the thermal application and large industry application, is going to be the fuel of the past. Because 3 years back, I was in a seminar, international seminar, my first one as a corporate person, and I told that coal is going to go upwards, and there's going to be a problem in the energy needs in the next 3 to 4 years. It has happened in that time frame, and it's just a correlation of the forward pricing of coal, which one thought may go a little awry because of energy needs, because of the influence of various countries in the shipping industry, and things to that effect. But if you see the bioenergy part, and why I am insisting and why I'm happy that Dr. Praveen is also constantly on this topic in many forums I've seen her myself leading the charge for the bioenergy sector, is because in this sector, not only you look after the environment, that you don't let it burn as a stubble, not only you don't look at the good health of the people and citizens, it's a huge energy transition, financial game changer of the future. It is something whose idea came, vanished, didn't take off in the period of 2013-14, when a lot of people set up wrong projects based on biomass at wrong places where biomass studies were not done. And then finally they went back to the banks and the government and the agencies and took a NPA route, and things didn't progress. Also in the bargain, getting a bad name for the industry in terms of biomass. But today, if you see the future of biofuels, 2G ethanol, CBG, sustainable aviation fuel, even a technology of green hydrogen through biomass, sky is the limit. India today does not even do 0.5% of the surplus biomass available in the country in terms of an energy conversion. And that is why it is a very, very important field. If I go ahead and just summarize this in 3 parts, fossil fuel dependency today has to go down. India cannot afford. Even in geopolitical realm, we have to choose partners and destroy our friendships. Primarily, not destroy them is because we need our energy to flow in the way we want it. You see this current Ukraine crisis. We were in the UN as an abstentia for that motion against Russia. And the reason being, besides all the other hardware of military and whatever we do with them, cultural connect and the ancient connect with them as well, the energy need is a focus where India's energy security is prime. So everything we think today in terms of energy, in terms of geopolitics, both get joined by this fuel dependency on fossil fuels. We don't want the cost of exchequer to rise. We certainly want the cost of exchequer to go down. Modern renewables, like I initiated, those names of renewables are very, very important. Innovations, research and development, and money infusion are 3 critical areas which need to spruce up to a degree that the modern renewables are made to rise. So we have to be very understanding of this fact. And last but not the least is the biofuel segment in our country, whether Shri Nitin Gadkari ji wants flex engines to come, and also there should be some kind of a G2G connect with Brazil to get technology, whatever be on the background or the foreground. Biofuels certainly needs a push. Satat scheme, 5,000 LOIs. We haven't reached the full mandate. We haven't had many number of biogas plants in our country today. So I think that is the way the future is going, and renewables, biofuels, low dependency on fossil fuel is the way forward. If you see this matrix, this came to me on my Twitter DM from a company called Climate, and this is a projection of what is the renewable energy index where we stand today. Pretty good. India is number 3 behind US and China. And the difference between us is not so huge. The ones in yellow, they have risen in their positions. The ones in black have gone down in their positions. So you see India is maintaining a very, very robust strategy in terms of meeting and fulfilling the net zero 27 commitment. We made commitments in COP25. We are somewhere around the target areas. We still have time to go till December. We have made a very, very, very important commitment for 2070. So 2070, most of us may not live the day, but we certainly have to be the bhagidars or the stakeholders or the responsible people who take this mandate ahead today in the right earnest, get the right policy advocacy, get the right advocacy for the Indian market, Indian manufacturing, Indian utilization and consumption, and to be able to draw more technology, more financial leverage and innovation and R&D into our country. If you just see the snapshot of the transportation of what I showed earlier, this color of green which we have, along with Australia and even parts of China, is something which you should be proud of. That India actually has the bandwidth, and if the good was a little later, even in the pandemic, we drew a lot of money into this sector. Yes, primarily you may say into very small hydro projects and mostly solar, not into the biomass sector, but that's the way we are transitioning. If you see the third from the left, this is basically the kind of impetus and the ranking we have achieved in terms of fulfillment of our commitments. So we have fulfilled the part of hydro and biomass, but we still have to fulfill the balance part as we go into this December. The targets are quite huge. If you see the Indian energy sector, the share of renewable energy is bound to rise to about 44%. The targets which we have set in for 440 gigawatt by 2030 is a very challenging task, but we can achieve. But there are two indicators which today indicate that we are on the right track. One is the National Biofuel Policy. We have a Biomass Energy Commission. We have National Hydrogen Energy Mission. So the right policy advocacy in consultation with the stakeholders. I'm so happy to say and actually observe that most of the policies of the government of the day, whether it's the national electricity policy or these policies, have all gone through the scrutiny of the public, whether in India, abroad, diaspora, technology people, finance people, innovators, R&D, industry leads. Everybody has got a chance to read the draft, give their points, and try to shape the policy itself. So that's a good beginning in our country, which is happening in the energy sector. If you just see the snapshot here again from Ember, which I took this morning. So there is still a lot of things to do in the first two, wind power and solar, by December to reach the targets as per the study. But if you look at biomass and feel relaxed that yes, we have achieved it, that is where a forward thinking is required. Actually, with the quantum of surplus biomass we have, the potential we have to replace the fossil fuel, the potential we have to bring back the money to the rural sector, because apart from everything else, the bioenergy sector gives back the money directly to the farmer. So in the business we do, nearly 60% of the revenues go back directly to the farmers for the biomass, feedstock, waste, which we pick up from the fields from them. So just imagine if we had 1,000 CBG projects already running today, if we had HPCL, Batenda and BPCL Bargarh, which were constructed and construed many years ago through a tendering process, were running today. Imagine the Philip, this entire third bullet on the right graph of the biomass-based energy would have been actually much more, and you would have been surplus, not deficient of your targets. You would have added. Likewise, there is one more facet of bioenergy which we do today is basically thermal, is basically heat. We give steam as a utility to a lot of people. So we burn the biomass in lieu of the fossil fuel in boilers. We produce steam, and as utility, we give it to our clients. This particular angle is not captured currently in the renewable energy segment, which can actually show this graph on the right to go a little more. And when you see on the left, whatever be the target of various states, these darker states are the states and which need to grow and do more. There are typically 5 major states like Maharashtra and others who are taking the mantle of growing the RE and mostly in the non-biomass sector as well. If I go further and we see what is the kind of growth needed, if you see the solar part and the wind part, nearly a 4x or 5x growth. But by definition of a study, if you see the biopower part, and I'm not calling it biopower because power-wise, maybe yes, the country is not currently tuned to a biomass IPP, but yes, certainly there is a mandate today, and I've taken up this case through the ministry to call for biomass solar hybrid IPP. Let's see if it sees the light of the day, and if we can rejig the entire targets for the biomass power part. But if you look at the right part from the bioenergy part, I think that is a potential which we even don't talk about currently. We are not even mandating in our interministerial coordination to understand which biofuel, which ministry will handle, how will it go, how will it shape up at the rural segment, how will the supply chains be curated, how will the logistics come up. I think we need to do a lot of homework there in the sector as well. Energy consumption of India, no brainer. With the population, 2 things will rise: the energy consumption and the aspirations. And both are important because energy by normal roti kota makan mandate will rise. But if I get my incomes to rise, obviously I will want a better fridge, better car, better appliances at my home, gadgets, television. So all that is going to consume energy. So both the population and the aspiration of our country are going to demand a lot of energy from whatever source. If you see the energy demand and transition scenarios, here are the 4 scenarios. But in none of the scenarios, the importance of the renewables and also the biomass-based segment is going to go down. If I go to the investment part, India's renewable energy sector has attracted and is able to attract about 80 billion USD as per some estimate. I've been in a lot of forums initially this year in Delhi and elsewhere on webinars to understand and appreciate that many governments, G2G connects, whether it's Brazil, whether it's Netherlands looking at us, Canada, US, European countries, even some Central Asian region countries, Israel, Japan. These are the countries which are looking very, very actively at our country to see how we will do the policy advocacy in the terms of financial world. That's the primary thing, and also ease of doing business to get more and more FDI and more partners, technology partners, financial partners, R&D partners into a country. If you see the investments, there has been a scale up of investments even during the pandemic. This is the period exactly of the pandemic which I quoted before the second wave, and we saw even that investment going up. You see what kind of investments have happened. But mostly, if you see the left side on the type of company which I've listed here, this has been in mostly non-biomass based bioenergy. It is only of late of last year that Reliance and Adani Group have created those bioenergy divisions. They're trying to pump in money and rejuvenate the sector more. But how it's going to look with, say, a primary business of Reliance being also in the refinery world where they've acquired a lot of assets, made a lot of investment. How does it shape up for a Reliance to take, put their feet in 2 boats and carry both the boats together is something which we'll see in the future. While the commitments are there, or while they may do something more for themselves, but how will they shape the industry with financial infusion and also to take it ahead is something to be seen. So Reliance and Adani are 2 major players which may shape up this, and I'm quite sure in the times to come, even Tata Power today will have to rejig its commitment and requirements towards the renewable sector beyond solar. If you see bioenergy in Prespel, this is a small snapshot. I will take a few minutes on it. I will already put my timer at 12:40 so that I don't overshoot my time. So give me and bear with me till I take you through this space. So if you see this, the energy demand, renewable part, and how it's going to go to the biomass sector, huge opportunity. Various studies of being surplus, 250 million metric tons, 350 plus, 500, some 600. These are the studies done by many international agencies and our own ministries. And we are floating around the average of 350 also. I think it's a huge changer because today India does not even do 5 million tons. And that will be on the higher side. And a company like us, which is absolutely minuscule on the revenue scale, is still the largest aggregator and the bioenergy lead company in the country today. So you can understand, we actually needed 10,000 Prespels at least 5 years ago, but we are not there. So that is something which we have to now grow and have a lot of entrepreneur push. So I will take this topic here itself, since I've spoken about it. Agencies like the Skill Council, the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and also stakeholders like us, the academia, have to come together and ensure that whatever we are doing in this segment of bioenergy also gives an impetus for an entrepreneurial drive and a rise in our country. Because unless that happens, we will not be able to create more and more Prespels as we go ahead. And we certainly need to do that. I will talk about the skill development part towards the end as well as part of my recommendation. So if you see various kinds of feedstock, and don't go by the feedstock and the graph, go by the yellow box, which is at the bottom. Cost savings, fossil fuel, 30 to 40%. GHG mitigation, because it's a carbon neutral fuel. Energy savings. These are the parameters for which the country or many countries in the world globally, as a global index, are still not paying the price. We're not talking about the carbon credits. We're not talking about anything else. How should a World Bank or a DFC or any other agency globally, the Japanese JICA or anybody in between, should support such social impact heavy industries like what we are working in, which is bioenergy sector from biomass and the rural sector. So I think there has to be a radical mind change. You got a corpus, you want to infuse $1 trillion into this economy worldwide, $10 trillion, whatever you want to do. Of that 10%, if it's going to come to India in the next year or next 5 years, then we need to decide, Everything need not be given at 8%, 10%. The problem is the credit ratings of all these companies like ourselves and everybody else is also a question mark at times, because you will never reach a AAA or a AA so soon in this entire segment. And if you can't reach there, and if your risk is taken as a clause by these banking institutions to give you the money at a higher rate, how will you drive the entrepreneurship? How will you drive the R&D, the technology influx, the skill development, the business itself? So these are certain things which institutions like yourselves have to finally knock at the door of the PMO and tell him actually that you need to give this industry something at a 5% or a 4%, right? I'm not competing with coal, because coal I think is out of business today. But 3 years back, we were competing with coal when we wanted this soft loan to come to the sector. Imagine a farmer at 4%, 5% CAT value. If he can do half of the value chain, which I am doing today by infusing my money himself, they will earn more. They'll be more self-reliant. The manufacturing in our country will increase because the farmers want those machines, we want those machines, and many people want those machines. So I think it's all interconnected. As we go on, we'll discuss more. Kind of feedstock, total residue available in country, various kinds of parameters tested in various reports, but huge amount. Look at the diversity of cultivation in a country from north to south, east to west, the amount of crops, and each waste has got some utility, because each waste, when burned, gives you a gross calorific value of something between as low as maybe 2,200 to about 4,000, 5,000 GCV, depends on what crop you're looking at. Uses of biomass are increasing. I've only listed, please take your mind to this slide, just read through it. And this is just the beginning of what biomass will be able to do. Today, the last point, you may find it amusing. Marks and Spencer, the US-based or whichever the British-based company, which is retailing in India as well, shoes and garments are being made out of this. Particle boards. We at Prespel do not take charge of the last 3 ourselves. We don't do utensils, shoes, garments, particles, or even furniture. What we say is a young entrepreneur should be able to come up, establish a 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs plant, gets its own skill sets, ingrained there, go to the bank with our support to say we will support that company with full intake of the biomass, and then build up the story of entrepreneurship and the Indian story to grow. So Prespel per se is looking at the bigger arenas for giving biomass and earning money. But Prespel is certainly wanting today, because we all are military officers. If you know my company, if you go on my website, I'll show it towards the end. We all are military officers. We understand where the company needs to shape. So we are not here for our personal profits or only the company profit or only our investors. We are here to give an outlook of how the entrepreneurial drive must drive bioenergy for tomorrow. Let's go ahead about my company in a nutshell. We started off in 2011 with incorporation. We've gone through 3 series of funding. We have 2, and if you look at the bottom left, the one in the orange are our financial investors. The one in the yellow background are our strategic partners. So imagine a company in a crude term, which is a grass collecting company, which is one of the biggest and the better ones in the corporate sector in India today, as Prespel, is invested by a Shell and a Mitsui. And why is that? Because these 2 companies, 2 years back, 3 years back, 4 years back, whenever they started with the due diligence for Prespel, saw an opportunity to come to this country to make CBG, ethanol, and maybe aviation fuel, maybe even green hydrogen in the future from the biomass here. And for that, they picked up one of the companies, which is Prespel, to grow in stature and scale for the biomass supply chain. That is foresight. That is where the policy advocacy in financial terms, in terms of ease of doing business, FDI, infusion, we have all been waiting for it to happen, to lead it and to get led. And that's the bane of our entrepreneurial mind, actually. And I'm quite happy. My colleague and my friend for 31 years, Colonel Monish, who is the promoter and the CMD of this company today, he started this company 10 years back because he, with his uncle, when he was running as a manager, his uncle's power plant based on rice straw, when they imported the balers from Japan, realized the future. And the future was always in the biomass supply chain. We as a company to survive have done a lot of things in the boiler segment and other segments to survive. But the future for our company as well is biomass supply chain. If you look at this map, our presence today, it has probably got refined by a few numbers on our website. If you see the kind of feedstock we are dealing with today as a company, and more than this, there's only a few of them listed here. If you see our model is primarily based on how to energize the rural sector, create awareness, create logistic and storage and warehousing avenues, and then go and do the aggregation ourselves in certain geographies like Punjab, because we have been there for the last 10 years, it now happens automatically by the farmer and comes to us. Similarly, the last part is the distribution. So Presswell as a concept has developed this village level entrepreneur concept in which a lot of villages together are led by one or two VLEs. These VLEs being our people and our partners or our employees. But the back-end farmers are working for themselves on a Bhagidari model in which they come and give their produce and get the money. I was on a trip to Aurangabad region recently. I've tried to instill one more model, which is a super Bhagidari model in which they understand the vision of my company first. So I think if that comes through before the next season in Punjab and in South India and East India, where we operate in the 14 states, I think Presswell will add a better dimension of the Bhagidari model as we go ahead and do business and do this problem solving for our country in terms of replacing the fossil fuel and also making money in the rural segment. And at the same time, keeping maximum farmers in the rural part with other commitments of infra development, road surface communication, affordable housing, which other ministries are doing. The canvas, we have supply chain of biomass, we have our own briquetting and pelleting, we do operational maintenance of boilers, we invest in the boilers in the boot model, and we do a lot of consultation on the biomass assessment study for niche clients globally and also in India, including some state governments as well. In this domain, when we go to the biofuel, say CBG, just an example, Presswell will do the supply chain. Presswell will do probably a little bit of O&M there. Boot may or may not be done by us directly, may be done by strategic partners or otherwise. Similarly, in the ethanol dream of the country, Presswell might limit itself to the first one, the SCM, and that will be the most critical one. You see the tenders of IOCL, Panipat, HPCL, Badaun. You know, we have been there everywhere. We've recently been L1 in Badaun. We are negotiating there. So this particular industry is today discerning the price points from 2018 tendering of HPCL and BPCL and Bargad. Today we are having to discern the price points. And let me tell you, the price points the company like Presswell in a geography gave to those PSUs in 2018, we are still able to hold good after all the escalation with a very minor inflation. So that's our USP of how we do business in biomass supply chain. I'll just show you some snapshots so that you understand my company better. This is aggregation on ground happening, baling happening. These special trolleys are designed by our company as well. This is a kind of an awareness campaign on the left top. That is me with the people in Karnataka and an interpreter. And on the right side on the top, you see the same person who's sitting there today in front of me on the right side. In 1.5 seasons of his interaction with Presswell and the money he has got for his waste, he's bought a small hatchback and 2 tractors. And this was a photograph of 2020 ending. So obviously he's grown more richer and richer by the day. We interact with the rural community. This is one of our stacks. These are not pictures from the Google Earth or Google Shot or any other kind of agency. These are our own pictures, our own depots. The ones below are the plants where this biomass is going as a storage to the client to be burnt in the boiler. This is the Sun Pharma plant in Tonsa. This is the kind of equipment which we buy ourselves, and we make sure biomass comes to us in bullock carts, in tractors, in trolleys, on camel carts, in trucks. They come in every form. This is the first paddy straw-based 100 TPD briquette plant of the country, inaugurated in December 2020. It is running very smoothly. We have transitioned to also make some pellets here, and we are continuously experimenting in this sector to drive more and more benefits of manufacturing. This is typically how a briquetting plant looks, the various elements of production and control. This is how it is stored in bags at places, without bags in places as per the client's requirement. This is a typical feeding system which is there in PepsiCo Channo. This is, see on the right, it's such an industry that we can't have very rich warehousing with earth-proof, climate-proof kind of an environment. So this is a rudimentary, you just to ensure that the flooding of the rainwater does not affect your produce or your finished goods. You raise the earth by the earth only, or the biomass mixed earth, and then you have to do some kind of a warehousing like this. We are typically very inclined to EHS norms. So any skill set which you saw our purpose, somebody who can run a raker, cutter, chipper, baler, stover, whatever we have, somebody who can do an IoT on that and tap it on the internet to see what is the efficiency of the functioning of those instruments. And like you saw how we were doing our business in terms of boiler running, in terms of briquetting plant. There is a tremendous amount of skill sets required in the rural segment there, because I can't make somebody read in Delhi and is inclined to a job to work with the KPMG, and I tell him to go to a rural area called Karjan and Gujarat. It won't happen. Similarly, for EHS training, there is a huge scope for training in this segment. So these are the kind of trainings and demonstrations we do for our own employees on a regular basis. This is the end use of the biomass, whether you make green fertilizer, whether you make bricks or something like that. And this is another avenue for skill development, entrepreneurship. So you take my ash, you make your bricks, you sell in the market, you get rich. The country also evolves around utilizing of this green ash or green bricks into construction business or in terms of agriculture. This is the controlled burning which we are talking about. So pollution control is the norm, and we make sure right from the aggregation where the thing is being burned, for the final byproduct of the ash to be converted into bricks of fertilizer, Prespel is doing the whole thing. And this year onwards, we will try and create our own brick making and fertilizer kind of a joint venture with some partners, so that we do the whole value system from farm to the factory and beyond till the grave of that particular, biomass byproduct. This is the boot project, just a snapshot, went under the COD on 20th March 2020. 4 days after that, we had the lockdown announced by the Honorable Prime Minister. That day till now, fortunately or unfortunately, this particular plant working on raw biomass, and I'm emphasizing because raw biomass, the radius of operation is limited. You can't make a brick at 200 kilometers away and supply. So it's a challenge. The plant has not been stopped for a second due to lack of biomass, and that despite 2 flash floods in July 2020 itself in this same plant of Sun Pharma in Ropa. These are the plus points and some kind of a snapshot of this plant. We are trying to automate as well. You see the kind of energy savings which we accrue in this plant. The money is something which probably Sun Pharma is loving, because had they not been loving, they wouldn't have told us recently to go ahead and engage in the same plant and one more plant for an additional boiler each on the boot model similarly. So I think it's a huge cost saving today to anybody who's transitioning from pet coke, furnace oil, diesel or such like fuels into the biomass based fuels for running their boilers, especially the lower segment starting at 0.5 TPH going up to 30 to 80 TPH boilers will run very beautifully, because the availability factor of the biomass remains an issue. So you can't go to a 300 tons kind of a TPH boiler right now. And also the challenge of the power sector is that their technology does not support full utilization of biomass today. But maybe in the future, biomass IPPs or biomass solar hybrid IPPs will take that on. This is the kind of income and the jobs per day created in the straw segment where we are dealing with candy straw, nearly 2,500 USD, and this data is also 2 years old. So we have not mapped this. Again, we will do it probably as an exercise every 2 or 3 years we do it, and we'll see why by next year, what is the kind of money infusion going into the farmers' hands. Key impacts, just read please, huge social impacts, huge sustainable development goal impacts. We have been awarded by the UN as well in 2020. We are the only company in this sector which has signed an energy compact with the UN as well. These are the other benefits in social and financial terms. And the challenges remain. And these are the challenges on the parameters I have listed on this view file. You can read this. I have described much of it. The harvest season in the north, 1, paddy straw, 2 months or less, harvest, aggregate. If some FPCL requires 2.5 lakh tons, store it, warehouse, insurance, every problem comes around at a cost. Go to South India, maybe 2 cycles, a little easier. Maybe go to East India, 3 cycles, a lot more easier. But for the banking system to understand this business has been a challenge through and through. Although we have a credit line from DFC US, a 10 million USD there, and with nearly 50% divided for project and 50% for supply chain, and nearly 1 million USD balance of that as an exchange reserve, we still have a challenge with the Indian banks and the Indian system to understand this. And that is where, while IREDA has sponsored and given us loans for each kind of supply chain, working capital term loan, or even projects, the other banking systems are not too overhauled. And that is where a government intervention is most critical. GST based, to lower the GST, lower the cost of borrowing to about 5, 6, 4% is something what we are looking at, which I'll just cover in my intervention requirement as well. This is the main problem. Quality of biomass, storage, warehousing, a huge challenge. Unannounced rain, maybe a flood, maybe continuous sporadic rains, rain in the southern part like Goa or Karnataka, which extends itself. So these are the huge challenges for operating costs and otherwise. CapEx investment, whether we do it in machines, whether we buy land or lease land, whether we have in the future agricultural parks coming in the country in various states, depending on the geography of the industrial areas and the biomass availability, is something we have to look at. And unfortunately, we are looking at it in bits and pieces, ministry by ministry, but the inter-ministerial coordination, central government policy advocacy being taken up actively and protected by the state is a challenge. because not all states are doing what we need to do for the future. Next 3 slides, I will just go and just talk about a few important things. You please read because you all are very learned. You will understand what I'm meaning here. But primarily, while the bioenergy mission has come through with a lot of effort from our side to push it for the last 3.5 years, I think time has come to look at the financial modeling of the sector very well. We want FDI. We want innovation and drive. We want manufacturing to come to the country. We want a lot of R&D to happen. We need a lot of skill development to happen in the sector. We need a lot of support from the state government to give land on long-term lease for the projects to come. We want sustainability of the project to come, and everything finally is related to the input of the biomass. How do we secure in the Bhagidari model, triple P model, public-private partnership? We have heard ad nauseum through our lifetimes. The 4th P, which is the most important, which I keep talking about, is the people, the farmer. You have to get the skin of the game of the farmer in this game in a very layman terms. If I'm giving him 1 rupee for the waste and going to produce ethanol, which I'm selling at a premium and making a lot of money, if I'm able to plow back, say, a half a rupee or a 25 paise or a 1 rupee more back to the farmer after the sales, then you are making sure that the farmer is also waiting for your process to complete for his money to come as a second tranche. And that is the way to rejuvenate the entire system, with the farmer also being a very practical and a key stakeholder in this entire value chain. Working capital, loans, how do you take loans? We are an ESCO company, energy saving company as well. So we need to do more of this. How to get out the credit rating part from industries like ours. For the moment, give it a moratorium, put more and more money, see it grow. Have a proper biomass system study conducted by reliable agencies which can put price points and live on LD clauses like Prespel. You can grow more like Prespel, but Prespel is one of the companies which does it globally for global giants. But unfortunately, we are not doing it within. We are not creating these studies within states. We are not earmarking command areas. We are not looking at this to grow and come as a huge bomb on us tomorrow morning. Because CORSIA norms in the aviation sector, we have to adhere to. No city like Delhi or a big city like Delhi, Mumbai or otherwise have got biomass around them. If a technology is going to come on biomass, the manufacturing of that fuel is sometimes some distance away. To move in cascade, logistic cost, and then getting profitability out of it is a question mark. But yes, tier 3 cities for airports, which the government wants to make that airport, make sure around that the command area of biomass, you have only that industry, and otherwise the entire segment is non-industrial. It has never been able to convert from agricultural to industrial, because if you do that, then like everything happens, the agricultural sector diminishes, the plantation diminishes, the crops diminish, the residue diminishes, and your industry on the biomass will not survive the day. So this is something which we need to focus as a country to make these command areas and make them absolutely agricultural for posterity, for these projects to be sustainable and the energy transition to be complete. Special schemes are required. I mentioned about the solar biomass hybrid. GST is one more thing, like I've listed here, we need to be very sure. From farm to factory, till you produce a product which is going to be sold, till it is made, if the GST can be nil, you can actually, kill the fossil fuel infusion into this sector. And that's the way to look at it. Pelleting, steam, heating, cooling, you can do so much from this, particular commodity. I remember 3 years back when me and Monish were sitting and we understood that this particular sector does not even get recognized as renewable, because everything which is Bijli in our country is renewable. It has taken us time beyond the election of 2019 to get that done from the government of the day. Very well done. The industry is moving ahead. Similarly, this concept of a soft loan, it also is a brainchild of me and Monish sitting in Mumbai talking about the bullet train that time in 2018. And I asked him a very naive question while I was still in the military, that if Japan can give the loan at 1%, why can't we get 1% loan for this sector for the farmers and us? And he laughed. And then we wrote a paper and we pushed the paper, and today probably it's reached some stage of conclusion. I hope it sees the light of the day. I hope this sector gets energized by that soft loan philosophy. Even beyond that, you look at the capex of supply chain. Nobody or today in the banking system is very, very helpful or forthcoming to support this. A 1 lakh metric ton kind of a straw-based application 2 years back with the numbers there was costing about $3 million USD, 2021 crores, today it must be 25 crores. But nobody looks at it. And you're talking about ethanol projects with 2 lakh tons, CBG projects with 80,000, 40,000, depending on the 5 KLD or 10 KLD. We are still not there tuned as a financial system or a country to give that money to people. So it looks that it's still a distant dream by BGI to achieve. Look at NABARD, FCI, NAFED, huge godowns, warehousing. What stops the government and the PSU to make warehousing near the biomass sourcing for the farmers so that they don't burn? They put it there. People like us will pay for picking it up. We'll pay for the warehousing. A long-term project, 30 years of warehousing, you can understand, even if it puts 1 million ton in a proper warehouse, properly controlled and taken care by the norms of firefighting and everything else, we will still be able to pay the price for per metric ton over a 30 years leverage. So that is the way you need to look at the industry and come up. Last but not the least, this probably is my second last slide. Interventions in strategic partnerships, whether it's G2G, whether it's B2B, B2G, G2B, whatever you want to call it. All norms. Let's focus on these 9 parameters which I'm talking about to conclude today. Revival of the NPA IPP is something which the government can look at from the biomass solar hybrid. If not, do a new project, do a 500 megawatt, do a 1000 megawatt. Let it get cancelled 15 times. Because when we started with the solar at 16 rupees to 12 rupees, we have come down to 2 rupees and we're looking at hydrogen now at 1 rupee. So transition will only happen when you put it on paper and take the tenders ahead. Technology players, financiers, people like ourselves who do the supply chain and other stakeholders will only keep doing the maths and Excel sheet over a period of time to get the right number in the future. Boilers, biogas projects, 2G ethanol projects, important. There are humongous global opportunities to connect. I mean, with a company like ours, when we deal with a company like Shell or a Mitsui, and the latter more so because they've got so many affiliates, there are so many opportunities in technology, in IoT, in AI, in governance angles, in terms of sourcing, in terms of agricultural equipment, agri-tech. The sky is the limit today to converge and to make India the hub for manufacturing of this particular commodity and everything which is to do with biomass. And tomorrow, if we are able to achieve in the next 5-10 years, then always remember that the African market is about 3 decades behind us. And everything we do today here, we can carry that as a model or a model to sell or to showcase or to take forward in Africa tomorrow. So a huge horizon. And 2 things remain paramount on the left side below is financing and logistics. Unless we optimize the right one, logistics, and unless we get the financing at a softer loan rate, I'm afraid we are still a few years from what we want to achieve. Yesterday, one was with the ambassador of Netherlands, where there were too many think tanks from the globe in terms of finance and otherwise. Not many were inclined today to see anything beyond a rating first. Not many were inclined today to see how we can make the money. And I quite like the idea of Shri Nitin Gadkari, which he pronounced publicly one of the months earlier this year, when he said the untapped money in our bank accounts of Indians, he will create bonds, the energy bonds, whatever he wants to create, to get it for infrastructure, which he wants to do for the highways and also for biofuel segment, because he's quite passionate there. So I think certain ideas like that are the future. This is a snapshot of what Prespel does. This is me. That's the email ID on prespel.com, where you can go and see what we do. You can engage. You will find my email ID as well there. And my email ID is also below the middle portion, Rohit Prespel. I'll be happy to interact with any entrepreneur, any skilled developer in the country to take this as a part of the bioenergy drive. Skill development cannot lag behind. I'm so happy that Praveen Saxena came to us last year. We couldn't afford to curate any model around it. My apologies, because it was too late in the day for my company to either look at it or invest that time. But certainly in-house, we have created a lot of training capability and skill development. And it will be good that now you have the curriculum and we have a little experience. There can be a certain kind of a synergy between SCGJ and Prespel as we go ahead. And in the bioenergy segment, per se, whether it's the biofuel segment or the briquetting plating segment or just a supply chain part, we can create avenues for coordination, probably sign an MOU, probably do things ahead, and that's the way to go. I have nothing major to contribute right now in terms of my monologue. From my side, I'll be happy to take on more and more questions and ideas from you, which one can discuss with institutions like SCGJ and also with the ministries in Delhi. And I'll be very happy if you can contribute those ideas even on an email later, but happy to take on questions because I think we have some time left. So over to your team and the viewers today to take this ahead, please. From my side, it's good to go.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Colonel Saab, for this excellent presentation. I really feel sad about this sector. You know, there are so many efforts going on, but the push which it has to be given has not been there. I was happy, if you remember, we met in Terry, and I was
Ji.
told that IREDA has given a project for the biomass supply chain, because supply chain is something which needs to be addressed, which needs to be,
Ji.
taken up. But still I feel, finance, without proper, though your federation is doing a lot, I think there are a lot of interactions with other companies, other
Yes.
stakeholders. Yesterday I was in a roadshow on solar. The amount
Ji.
of extent of participation from the European Union and from the other countries with their counterparts in India. So
Ji.
that is why I feel this sector has got a push. I pray that biomass also could get that push, and we could really push it forward, and we could take it forward the way you are taking it forward. Regarding the skill development, what you had said, I am very happy that we can now take it forward. I remember asking you, requesting you to put in some targets so that we can do some skilling for the aggregators, and we would be very happy to have an MOU with you, and we
Ji.
could take this. We are now not, we are doing some offline training, online trainings also, and we are doing some in synergy also, we are doing trainings. So we can share our curriculum you already have. We can
Ji.
and merge the way, or synergize our curriculums and see how we can train and how we can participate in these trainings.
Right.
I had seen a hand by, I think Mr. Koteshwar Rao wanted to ask a question.
Sure. Please.
Can you just unmute him?
So just while he unmutes himself, Praveen ji, it'll be better that we plan for a short workshop between your team and my team in field. Maybe any state we can choose. We just coming from Delhi or something like Punjab, and let's conduct a 2 or 3 day workshop in which you see the entire value chain, and your team actually sees. You know very much about it, but the ground team, and which is going to be interacting with my team to take this ahead beyond the MOU to the curriculum and other things else. Let's do that in field as well, so that there's a better outlook towards what to shape. And I agree with you, solar will always get a lot of people coming and talking.
I suggest that you please fix up a date.
I'll do that.
Like we have PAU as a Dr. Sarabjit, he has good number of people, and he's in touch with the farmers, and he has a lot of, because they have, so PAU has about 40 centers, I think, so all over Punjab.
Sure.
So
sure.
we can have some.
Let's do that. Your team visits my place, we visit your places and your training institutes, and we then have a proper running of a practical workshop to understand both sides, and then be able to recommend something through your offices to the ministries as well to how to take it ahead.
We have to work in synergy, and we have to come up with something. If we expect something from the ministry, I'm sorry to say, though I have been a part of the system for such a long time, things, if they come from the ground, at least they will be noticed, and even if they don't notice it, we can.
Ma'am, they notice it. I went on a webinar with the Honorable Minister for Power and Renewable Energy. I gave 2 points. Both were contested by their CMDs of the PSUs, but in 10 days, both came as policy in a letter as a notification. So that way, I don't think so any logic is defied, but yes, the challenge remains, because you see, who's promoting this sector? You, me, and few like us.
Yes.
Right? And what's the future? If India does not have a biofuel transition, you leave aside the 2070 net zero dream. If you don't have the biofuel transition, we are in thick soup in terms of the fossil fuel requirement being abated. It won't happen.
Yeah.
So maybe the time is, in their mind, it will take 2 more years, 4 more years, but it has to.
Yeah.
It has to be a mode of transition. So I think it's still not
unmuted. So I think that
if you can type his question, because I still see him is not unmuted, Mr. Rao.
I think Sarvesh also wants to ask one question. So,
please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me opportunity to speak. So I have one query only on the supply chain part. Like in most of the before, like you already represented one of the CII committee in supply chain. So we submitted our submission for the formal portal. So farmers portal is managed by the Ministry of Agriculture, where all the post-harvest material availability and the pricing are available. We can see the state-wise, district-wise. So why we can't make our submission for the agri residue based availability and pricing for on
Yes,
that portal?
so I did pitch for this. So there are few agencies which are running some kind of platform where you can exchange the biomass and at a sale point or price point. But taking this session to any government of the day is a little problematic, because you see there is MSP for the grains, but that what is that? That is a minimum amount. So at least somebody can give it away at a higher amount. In this case, you can't say the minimum amount for a prali, because if you say minimum amount is 1, and if the expectation in 2 years goes to 3 rupees, the entire project of 30 years is crashed. Because what you are doing is, the other one is a useful thing for consumption for which you're paying a minimum price. This is a waste. And no government can tap that waste to say the maximum price. The government can't say that any place you will only give it 1 rupee. So I did have a word with somebody, I can't take names, but this was the problem with this is the problem with any government of our nature. You can't fix the top price for any commodity, right? And especially dealing with farmers. So the industry has to discern. So experience wise, yes, we have experiences where we went to Punjab, there was burning, there was penalty imposed. So the farmer was giving 350 rupees to 500 rupees in both Haryana and Punjab to companies like ourselves to just take away 1 acre of waste. At that time, many people came in, built up their business models in which they did minus 350 or 500 from the business model because the farmer was paying them. We at Prespel never did that. We at minimum gave them still a rupee that time per kg. We never took his waste from him and with his money also. So that is the reason why we are surviving. That's the reason why at times when we talk casually to people in the industry, we say in certain geographies, we have reduced the rate in the last 3 years. There are mechanisms where we are able to put the capex for the SCM, get the rates down because we are doing it ourselves 50%, 40%. The rates do come down. But this greed, which may come in say any community or a farming segment in anywhere in the country, is something which can't be ruled out. And that is why the MNCs are very, very wary of investing in the sector in India, because today they will give for 1 rupee and tomorrow they will do a dharna or something and say 5 rupees. The industry can't run. But no government can intervene. So the best practice is your engagement is something which you can propagate. Yes, companies like us are doing small scale mitigation by signing off agreements with the farmers and the VLEs. But do you think I can take them to court tomorrow? I cannot, right? Even if they don't come with me, I have no major options legally there as well, right? But certainly a beginning can be done. So instead of making 5 farmers happy, I make 50 farmers happy, take small quantities. I risk mitigate my availability. I risk mitigate my price points. I do 30% of business myself if I can get the money for that project, do SCM myself. So I do all that. But certainly the farmers, if I say are happy with me, they're happy with me as long as I'm paying them in time, but they're good to go with the cost for a long term. That's my engagement personally and directly. But will it work with every entrepreneur? It's the way you handle the farmers. Because I'm saying there are rich people who came with the money bags in Punjab who fell today because they fleece the farmers. So certainly, yes, as a community, when you interact, when you go to panchayats, when you sign off with 5-10 talukas or a district together, it's doable. So when I say the 4P model and you put the farmer inside as a stakeholder, it is only then you will properly mitigate this risk of price escalation tomorrow, right? So that's the way to look at it. And your idea is absolutely correct. We have to have the handle on these two, but how we get it is...
We have 2 more. Thank you very much. We have 2 more hands.
Please.
I think Mr. Koteshwar Rao is waiting. Ram, can you unmute him, or Rohit?
Anybody, you can be unmuted. Please carry on.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving excellent presentation, sir.
Thank you for support.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, we would like to invite you in the southern, sir. We are organizing on creating wealth from the agriculture waste as exclusively for the biofuel and the supply chain management activity. In this regard, we would like to interact with you, sir. Please share your contact details with us, sir. We would like to invite you for the more interaction with the southern states, sir.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
There is no problem. My contacts are available.
Of the hour, sir. It is excellent presentation.
That's perfectly fine. The only personal request is that between 18th May to 12th June, I'm not in the country. So anytime before, after, I will be more than happy and glad to come and meet people, come and interact with young farmers. Basically, if you can collect them at a place, your policy, makers, anybody. So we can have a small kind of an interaction workshop there. I can spend a couple of days, 2-3 days there. We can go to a couple of locations as well if you want me to go in south. No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Deepak Rai.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a wonderful presentation and cutting and focusing on so many aspects. Some of them were absolutely new for me as well. Sir, a very quick question. If you look at 2022 Government of India RE targets, now I do understand that's been revised to 2030 targets up to 500 gigawatt of non-fossil energy. But if you look at it, sir, it's only the bioenergy segment which has achieved the target before the due date. 10 gigawatt was there in the target, and it's already been achieved. Sir, despite so much of opportunity it offers, somehow in the last decade or so, the sector has not grown the way, solar and other technologies have grown. I do understand wind is also going through a tough time now, but the kind of investment in solar, it has happened in the last few years or so. Somehow bioenergy with so much of application beyond electricity. Solar actually, if you take out solar thermal, it's only electricity generation.
Yes.
Received a lot of investment. Bioenergy with such an agriculture rich country like India, it has not catalyzed a lot of investment. What are the 3 critical barriers in your opinion, and how to resolve it?
So fantastic question there. Firstly, I'll talk about the wind part. The mistake there was, while you set up projects through Suzlon and other people, you did not mitigate the most essential risks of the land. Right? And that is the problem today, because the farmers and the unions there want more price for the land. It's become unviable in Jaisalmer and other areas. The second part was solar. Solar has come to us. It's one of the best businesses because the IRRs are fantastic, right? Everything which is critical is actually ex-import. The only thing which we do is, make some poles and some kind of a, casing and some nuts, and 2 people go and have 4-5 labors and they make a solar park. So it's easy to do on ground thing. And it's something which is resonating because electricity, to electrify the rural segment and to do everything else we are doing, we have taken a lot of time there, right? So it has been a lot of bandwidth spent there, from 16 rupees to 2 rupees something, and trying to go beyond 2 rupees is something which has flown over a few decades. When you say bioenergy has ticked 10,000, yes, we have ticked 10,000 or whatever. But I think that's the wrong target. We didn't set the right target for bioenergy. The vision to reduce fossil fuel, the vision to see a Brazil 8 years back was already there, right? You knew what biofuel was coming in. We didn't create the condition. And why the problem is, the 3 major issues you asked. One is the finance. One is the technological innovation. And third is the R&D. And beyond this is the amalgamation of these 3 into one team. A financier wants to come to me and say 16%, 14%, 10%, 12%, negotiate whatever basis point and give me the interest rate. That's the only thing they want. A technology player comes to me and says, buy my product. The third one will come to me in terms of anything else to do with land or otherwise, just for the money part. So imagine everybody who's interacting with me has got a markup of his cost already. And then these marked up costs come to my plate. I do my business and I add my profit is a super markup. And then I say, okay, 3 years back, Indonesian coal, this coal, that coal, competitive. My brochure today also shows coal as better. But in the next about 10 days, it will not be the better because coal is now gone down. See 2012 to 2014, inflated project cost, 80 crores, 100 crores, IPP. Where is the plant? The plant is somewhere from where biomass is 200 kilometers away. And then become NPA. And every nexus of that entrepreneur, or should I say the hoodwinker of the system, to the person who cleared it in the ministries, the person who were in government to approve it, are all culprits. Because at the nascent stage, you gave a subsidy, you withdrew the subsidy, you killed the industry. And today, in 2017, 18, 19, 20, when we are going to the bankers, there is a baggage. Biomass, IPP, NPS, all. Biomass so-and-so, not functioning, all. Somebody taken money in the formula of fleecing the farmer 3 years back, fallen. So the story speaks for itself. And the sad part is, this story, while it plays itself, there has been very few proponents beyond the industry in the ministry or the government who, even after understanding, I'm not saying there is a lack of understanding, have just kept mum, because all the coal business, and sorry Buffy, being now a little more frank, I will just make it in the passing because I don't want to cast any aspersions anyway. Coal industry, a cartel. Fossil fuel import, a cartel. Solar energy today is a cartel. Right? It's coming to at a good cost, good for my country. Very well done. But it's all getting, galvanized into a system which is not producing anything else. What more beyond the land lease point I'm giving to the farmer in a stilt-based kind of a solar energy drive or otherwise, consuming so much of land? Imagine if I just do this, that no agricultural sector where bioenergy projects are going to come will ever become commercial. Those highways, those elevated corridors which we are making in the quadrilateral triangle, they're coming with a purpose, right? It is going over a territory where flora and fauna is not going to be disturbed. That's the commitment our government is making today. Tomorrow, if somebody else comes to power and changes it and makes it commercial, then again, what's the difference between National Highway 8 today and that quadrilateral tomorrow? No difference. So I think policy-wise, understanding-wise, we know what's to be done. The time has come to walk the talk. The time has come. If Prime Minister Modi does not see 2070 from the bioenergy bouquet as a very, very, very critical part to be made to grow in the next 5 years, I think we'll make a mistake. Right? And I think they're doing it. That is the reason why they're doing it. And I keep saying, all international seminars in our country for bioenergy, biomass, ethanol, green hydrogen, everything, except green hydrogen, the biomass based completely, are done in which months? When Delhi NCR becomes, stubble-ridden smoke screen. Come 1st January, New Year's, it's a new beginning, nothing is talked about. I'm glad we are talking about this issue somewhere in April today. I'm very cognizant of the fact that what we discuss in these forums through SCGJ is going to be carried forward at least to the MNRE. It is going to meet somebody's notice, eyes and ears. And that is the way to throw it back. So many interactions. I mean, I still laugh at my colleague Monish. The amount of shoe he has changed in this industry by only walking up to ministries is not funny. Right? It has taken a toll. He's opened a different forum called CBEII, Confederation of Bioenergy in Industries in India, trying to get every stakeholder, including banking systems, TERI and everybody else together. So it's just a small beginning. But I think the first thing to start in this country has to be, now look at biomass, ethanol, CBG, MOPNG. You go to SAF, aviation ministry. You go to green, everybody's talking green in various kind of industries for various kind of usage, whether it's vehicle or otherwise. Electric vehicle is one more ministry. There are 9 or 10 ministries, and then on top of them is a MOEFCC who's going to give a final grant as well, right? Where is that one umbrella? Niti Aayog or PMO or whichever led, there has to be an umbrella first. Yes, with great inputs from people, us and others, there is a National Biomass Energy Commission today. But how many stakeholders are there? Right? Are we going to make these committees of people who know, haven't done anything in the past, and are likely to sit pretty in the future? Because let me tell you the conflict of interest. The conflict of interest today in the country is that people who own the refineries have to sell that oil. People who own large scale projects, scalable solar power, and the big giants there have to make that grow. And in all of that and more, we are looking at bioenergy. That is where the target is wrong. It is not that we have fulfilled. Giving steam from biomass today to industry is my company and many more like us, like a Thermax or otherwise. Today, that particular thermal, whether we do steam, whether from the same boiler, back turbine, we do electricity, whether from the same steam we do heating and cooling as a thermal application through VAM. Generation, co-generation, tri-generation, all models are applicable, and a lot of MNCs and Indian players are changing. It's not mapped. It's not on the radar of the financial institutions. Right? I go as a small player, they ask me for bank guarantees. I think Monish Ahuja must have sold himself over 15 times to give those bank guarantees. How will an entrepreneur step in? I was in an agriculture ministry, a mentor to somebody, and he and she were talking about making straws from coconut frond. So happy to say that gentleman is today selling that straw in a 5-star called Hyatt in Dubai. But how many like them? Right? So I'm already saying we are down by 5 years down. They already should have been 10,000 press pads in the country. They're not. Foreign investment. I was with the Dutch ambassador yesterday. He had a full meeting there. And the entire apprehension revolves around credit rating, cost of borrowing, why this is a risk-laden sector, why somebody cannot give lesser than 10%, 12% from the World Bank or otherwise. What are we talking? Government is influential and powerful to tell the World Bank, you give it to me, a USAID or a JICA to give it to me at 1-2%. I will tell my bank at what percent to lend. It has to come in the system. Why should a bank take 6% of a profitability as a cushion to invest? No, they should not take. The Indian bank should not take.
But Mr. Rohit, it is now a priority. It is RBI has put it in the priority lending.
It is. So very happy. It happened finally, Dr. Damija. It finally happened, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a decade late, but it happened.
I see one more hand, Mr. Ashok Kapoor. Can you, Mr. Ram, unmute Mr. Ashok Kapoor? I think he's from Organic Recyclers.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Welcome, Mr. Kapoor. Happy to
Thank
see
you, ma'am. Thank you. Good to be with you. Always a pleasure to hear Colonel Dev shooting out everybody. What a pleasure.
I'm not shooting. I'm only making a team to, fight together.
No, I appreciate Colonel Dev. There are very few people who have the guts to come out and speak so frankly. So it's always a pleasure when I hear you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I have a query, Dr. Colonel Dev. I come from the biogas industry, and as you are very well aware, it's another failure that has happened. The SATAT launched and what happened out of it, and the no-show that we still are experiencing. The reason that I wanted to actually have this exchange with you was to seek one issue from you as you come from the biomass. Biomass is an input definition for both on the briquette side and also on the biogas side. Now, given the perspective of this aggregation that you were mentioning earlier, what is a practical solution that it's a state government issue, sir. It's got nothing to do with the central. And I think this MSP system, even I agree with you. One thing is that putting a farmer on an MSP would be appreciable or not is a big question. But given the perspective of the aggregation that a plant can survive upon, because it's an input issue. I mean, if you don't have a regularized input, you cannot have any calculations for a project on the financial outcome. Given that perspective, what is the option availabilities of actually creating that radius of where the plant is going to be as in sugar mills, let me put it like that.
Right.
That automatically the area gets allocated for that sugar mill for the offloading of the produce. Whereas over here we are talking about the biomass.
Right.
Given that perspective, is there any particular model suggestible where the states can actually think upon doing a national activity which can be taken up, where it can drive towards that identification of a plant coming up in a
right? So
closing the radius so that there is no further competitive issues, etc.,
Right.
etc. So what is that, what you have in mind? I would really love to know that.
Right. So there are governments. I will give example of the Punjab government as well. Beta, very proactive. So if you are going to curate, say, 60 to 80,000 tons of a CBG plant today, in the input part, you want at least 2.5-3 times availability for the long time future. You can't set up a project where only 80,000 is coming this year or next year, and then you have a problem. So what we do, I'll just explain so that you can do the same thing. So we do a deep dive biomass assessment study for that region. So there are two kinds of players. One say, my plant will come here and you let me know how much of biomass availability in the next 20-30 years. That's one way to look at it. Other is they say that we want to do it in this district or these couple of districts or this state. The global MNCs want state-wise because they have got a different relationship with various states. So they tell us to do that study. Once we do that study, we curate a supply chain plan, which A, has ample number of biomass supply feasibility done. So if I need 100 kgs, I will at least do 300 kgs of a back-end check. The second is when you're dealing with farmers, my advice is, let's say, for example, you got two farmers who can give you 50 kgs each, right? And you need 100 tons only. But there are about 10 farmers there. Somebody can give you 10 kg, somebody 2 kg. We deal with giving some requirement to everybody, right? It does two things. It mitigates my sourcing in the future. So if I give, say, 2 kgs to 50 farmers, and I'm going good, if 3 farmers fall off due to any reason, say the father dies and son doesn't want to do agriculture anymore, say there is a cropping pattern change because of any dynamics of environment, there is somebody who wants to feel a little more greedy in the future. So all these parameters, I should still have the bandwidth to serve my interest for that 100 kgs. That is why that 300 kg and these maximum number of this is a requirement. So if you can plan like that. Second is governmental part. We should all, through all such forums and through your good offices, press home the point with those state governments to firstly notify the central government norms. That's A. And put that carrot in front of the chief minister if required to say, or the chief secretary to take it forward to him or her, to say, let's do a pilot to showcase our state better. The language which people generally understand in the decision making or the political level of various states is only one. What's in for them? I'm not talking about what's in for them personally, I'm talking about the state. So you have to tell them the story of environment, health, and income for farmers. And when I talk to such people, I tell them at the end of the year, when I do business with you and say, if you are putting your money into a briquetting plant, I will give you a sheet of GHG emission, energy saving, employment generated, ABCD, health benefit, whatever, in terms of values, right? And you can take it to your chief minister or your prime minister and tell him or her that you're doing a great job. So this way, I'm trying to inculcate a feeling of ownership in these people who are the deciders of the policies first.
Kalnadev, I understand that. As far as the decision makers are concerned, the problem is related directly to the farmer and the farmer's commitment in some manner with us to actually ensure that I am available and I get that message to pick up the material when and if it is available, or he delivers it to the point. Now that linkage, I think, is the
three models.
Yeah,
three models which Prespel has been following. When we were naive and we were early, we invested with the full machine and full manpower, and we aggregated and paid a price. That's model A. Model B, we created our VLEs, and the farmer got subsidy from the government to buy the machines in the post-harvest season. And then he also asked me that how much money will you give me for transportation to your storage yard. So some part we did, like we gave them the trolleys, we gave them the expertise, we gave them something else, and the balance they did. So a price point Y higher than the X they accrued. And last but not the least, today, say in Punjab, in most of the geography we operate, we do nothing. They understand everything, they get it to us. But in the third model or any other model, the caveat remains that how do I keep the points known to me always, and I'm able to tell the farmer that this is not your price, is by putting 30 to 50% of capex and SCM myself. And that's the way I'm looking at all future projects. The greed part of any farmer or a group of farmers is something which you and me cannot take off right now. But my understanding is that the way we interact with farmers from the highest level in my company to the lowest level of a field officer is something unique and something which is continuing. And we keep this interaction alive at whatever cost firstly, but at a frequency when it is okay, because there are times when we are also faced with problems. We have invested too much in the project. We don't have money to pay right now in this coming month for the biomass. It happens to us as well. But hopefully and practically we don't lose all our suppliers.
So you rule out the MSP completely?
Right. So we go on a price point based on the radius. The farmers do get smart, because if there is a chacha batija in the radius of 5 and in the radius of 50, then he says, okay, I can't give you at 5. Then the bhatija at 50 starts giving at the same rate, whereas the biomass is coming from the 5. These things can go wrong with you, right? But it doesn't affect me, because I based on the moisture and other parameters, a base value for a particular product, whichever is the feedstock, on a pan-India basis, and I try to control it if I can in a range. I necessarily don't want to target the farmer to give him the minimum rates. I actually want him to be comfortable, in which my production is also compatible and my sales points, I get some money out of it.
No, but if the agriculture boards actually devise a methodology to give a satisfaction to all project developers,
Yes.
that as far as the input cost is on an MSP known, because that's my calculation.
I agree, but it can't be imposed. So yes, you can educate a particular taluka or a district that, okay, this year paddy will be sold. If you get it from this range at 1 rupee, that range at 1.5 rupees, a very good thing to be done internally at the state government level or the district level. Whether it is led by the DC or it's led by somebody else, it's something they can decide. There are FPOs there which are interacting. So there's a lot of database flowing. This engagement can happen. And that's the future, Mr. Kapoor, if I may say, because if we don't do this mitigation, who's going to invest in
Who's going to do it?
Nobody's going to put the money.
Fully support you on that. So I think that's why I wanted to bring it up for discussion for everybody to realize.
Thank you for
where
that.
we are.
Thank
Thank
you
you so much.
Thank you.
So I think we've taken a lot of your time, Colonel Rohit. We had a very healthy discussion and a very fruitful discussion, and also your presentation has really, given us more insights into the work and how biomass can be. You've been saying, all of us been saying biomass has to have a future, and I feel and I pray that it should have. Although prayers don't work, only finance works. We have to look for more money that is there. But I would really like to interact with you more on the skilling part, which is my current assignment. And as you have suggested, interact with you so that we can have our teams visit you at your site and see how you're doing it and how we can gel it with the. We have some e-learning systems also on agro-residue educators, and all those systems also in the time of COVID. We could not do much field activity. So we did these, and we would like to integrate these, and we would bring it to your notice and do more with you. So thank you once again for a very enlightening, and I tell you, I am very happy to listen to you. And of course, Mr. Kapoor, I think the entire spectrum of participants also was very good. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.